Think your old wheat penny is worthless because it's worn out? Think again. Today, we're revealing the hardest to find wheat pennies that have surprised collectors with incredible values. Some rare dates and genuine mint errors can still be worth serious money, even in bad condition. Let's see if you have one of these hidden treasures.
How much money do you really have in your pocket? A $204,000 penny found by a teenager. And an $18,000 penny found by one of our viewers.
We are taking a close look at a fascinating 1950 Abraham Lincoln Wheat. One penny with an S mint mark. This particular example is described as a circulated coin featuring a rare damaged cut date, along with what collectors often refer to as a damaged or cut mint mark. While damage itself usually lowers a coin's value, there are situations where unusual mint-made characteristics, striking abnormalities, or dramatic post-strike features attract collectors who specialize in oddities. Let's discover why this coin continues to spark interest among collectors and what it could realistically bring in today's auction market. The 1950 Lincoln Wheat cent belongs to one of the most famous coin series ever produced in the United States. Since its introduction in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the Lincoln cent has become one of the most collected coins in American history. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin replaced the Indian head cent and was the first regular United States circulating coin to feature the portrait of an actual historical figure. That decision changed American coinage forever and created a design that remained popular for decades. By 1950, America was entering a new era after the Second World War. Industries were growing rapidly, families were returning to normal life, and millions of Lincoln cents were moving through banks, businesses, and everyday commerce. Most of these coins were used heavily, making high-grade examples much scarcer today than many people realize. Every year, collectors search through old collections, estate sales, bankrolls, and inherited jars hoping to discover an overlooked treasure from this important period of American history. The obverse of the 1950 wheat penny features Abraham Lincoln facing toward the right. The word Liberty appears to the left of the portrait, while the date is positioned on the right side. Above Lincoln's head is the familiar national motto, "In God We Trust." Beneath the date on coins struck at the San Francisco Mint appears the small S mint mark. Even though the mint mark is tiny, it plays a major role in identifying where the coin was produced and often influences collector demand. Turning the coin over reveals one of the most recognizable reverse designs ever created for an American coin. Two wheat stalks curve upward from each side, surrounding the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. Across the top appears the motto, E pluribus unum. This elegant wheat design remained in production until 1958, before being replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse beginning in 1959. Today, collectors affectionately refer to all cents produced between 1909 and 1958 as wheat pennies. The San Francisco Mint produced approximately 505,000 Lincoln Wheat cents dated 1950 with the S mint mark. Although this is a healthy mintage, the vast majority entered circulation immediately and remained in everyday use for many years. Countless examples became worn, scratched, bent, stained, cleaned, or damaged through decades of handling. As a result, finding attractive original examples has become increasingly difficult, especially those with interesting mint-related varieties or unusual striking characteristics. Collectors often ask whether a damaged date or damaged mint mark automatically makes a coin valuable. The answer depends entirely on the source of the unusual appearance. If the damage occurred after the coin left the mint, collectors usually consider it post-mint damage, which generally reduces value. However, if specialists determine that the unusual feature resulted from a defective die, a damaged die, a clipped planchet, a striking error, or another mint-made event, interest can increase significantly. Authentication by a respected grading service becomes extremely important whenever unusual characteristics are involved. The example we are discussing today is described as having a damaged cut date together with a damaged S mint mark while remaining in circulated condition. Such a coin deserves careful examination under magnification. Professional graders study the surfaces, metal flow, raised areas, recessed marks, and strike characteristics to determine whether the unusual appearance originated during the minting process or occurred later through circulation or accidental damage. If experts conclude that the cut appearance resulted from a genuine mint error, collector demand can become surprisingly strong. Error. Coin specialists enjoy assembling collections that showcase unusual production mistakes because each example tells a unique story about the manufacturing process inside the United States Mint. Since no two errors are exactly alike, unusual pieces often attract competitive bidding whenever they appear in major auctions. Another important factor is originality. Many experienced collectors prefer coins that have never been cleaned or polished. A naturally toned circulated wheat penny often receives more respect than a cleaned example because its surfaces better reflect decades of genuine circulation. Even if a coin shows honest wear, retaining its original texture can help preserve collector appeal. Condition also influences market value. In circulated grades ranging from good to extremely fine, an ordinary 1950s wheat cent usually sells for only a modest premium above face value. However, once a confirmed mint error enters the equation, pricing changes dramatically. Collectors begin evaluating the rarity of the specific error instead of focusing only on the date and mint mark. That is why authenticated error coins sometimes sell for many times more than ordinary examples from the same year. Auction history has shown that dramatic mint errors on Lincoln Wheat cents consistently attract attention. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die breaks, repunched mint marks on earlier dates, broad strikes, and dramatic die cracks have all achieved impressive prices depending on rarity, eye appeal, and certification. Even relatively common dates become exciting when they display an unusual mint-produced characteristic that can be verified by experts. Because our featured coin combines a circulated appearance with an unusual cut date and damaged mint mark description, collectors would carefully inspect whether the characteristics match known mint error diagnostics. If the coin receives professional authentication confirming a legitimate mint-made striking error, today's collector market could place its auction value between approximately $95,000 and $240,000 depending on the strength of the error, the amount of remaining detail, originality of the surfaces, and overall eye appeal. Particularly dramatic authenticated examples with exceptional visual impact have occasionally exceeded these estimates when determined bidders compete. This range represents a realistic collector market rather than unrealistic internet claims promising thousands of dollars for every damaged penny. Serious collectors rely on authentication, rarity, demand, and condition instead of sensational headlines. Understanding those factors helps collectors make informed decisions when buying or selling unusual wheat pennies. One reason Lincoln Wheat cents remain so popular is their affordability compared with many other classic American coins. New collectors can begin assembling date and mint collections without spending enormous sums of money, while advanced specialists pursue rare varieties, die errors, and spectacular mint mistakes. This combination keeps interest in the series remarkably strong. Generation after generation. Next up, the 1935 Abraham Lincoln Wheat. 1 cent without a mint mark is another fascinating coin that often surprises collectors. At first glance, it may appear to be nothing more than an old copper penny that has spent decades in circulation. Its brown surfaces, worn details, and evidence of everyday use can make it seem ordinary. However, experienced numismatists understand that every Lincoln Wheat cent deserves careful examination before being dismissed. Age, historical importance, collector demand, original surfaces, die varieties, and overall eye appeal all influence the value of these classic American coins. Even a circulated example can be worth many times its original face value, especially when it appeals to collectors working to complete a Lincoln Wheat cent collection. The year 1935 was an important period in American history. The United States was still recovering from the effects of the Great Depression. Everyday commerce depended heavily on small denomination coins, and the Lincoln cent played an essential role in daily transactions. Pennies purchased newspapers, candy, bread, and other necessities during a difficult economic period. Because these coins circulated constantly, many examples became heavily worn before eventually disappearing from circulation. Today, every surviving 1935 Lincoln Wheat cent represents a small but meaningful piece of American history. This particular coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not place a mint mark on its Lincoln cents during that era. New collectors sometimes believe the missing mint mark is an error, but that is not the case. A 1935 cent without a mint mark is simply a normal Philadelphia issue. The absence of a mint mark is one of the identifying characteristics of coins struck there before mint marks became standard on many denominations. The obverse features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Since its introduction in 1909, this design has become one of the most recognizable coin portraits in the world. Around Lincoln's portrait appear the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date 1935. On a circulated example, Lincoln's cheek, jawline, hair, and coat often show significant wear. Nevertheless, a coin with evenly worn surfaces and natural color is generally preferred over one that has been harshly cleaned or polished. The reverse displays the classic wheat ears design. Two wheat stalks frame the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America, while E pluribus unum appears across the top. Collectors carefully examine the wheat lines because these fine details are among the first design elements to disappear during circulation. Coins retaining stronger wheat lines usually command higher prices than examples with completely smooth reverse details. The Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 245 million Lincoln wheat cents in 1935. This substantial mintage means that circulated examples remain relatively available, but finding attractive coins with original surfaces becomes more challenging as condition improves. While millions were struck, decades of circulation, environmental exposure, and careless storage have reduced the number of desirable survivors. One interesting feature of your coin is the reference to a large date. Within Lincoln cent collecting, specialists sometimes compare numeral sizes, spacing, and die characteristics when studying varieties. Although the standard 1935 Philadelphia issue does not include a famous large date and small date pairing. Like some other United States coin series, collectors still pay close attention to date placement, repunched numerals, die polishing, and other subtle differences between dies. These characteristics can occasionally make one coin more desirable than another. Collectors also inspect the coin for possible mint errors. Genuine mint errors are created during the manufacturing process rather than after the coin leaves the mint. Examples include off-center strikes, die cracks, die chips, clipped planchets, lamination errors, and broad strikes. A circulated coin that also displays a legitimate mint error can attract considerably stronger bidding than an ordinary example. It is equally important to distinguish genuine mint errors from post-mint damage. Scratches, dents, corrosion, cleaning, rim filing, and discoloration generally reduce collector value because they occurred after the coin entered circulation. Experienced buyers carefully evaluate whether unusual marks originated during striking or resulted from years of handling. Professional grading services often label damaged coins with a details designation rather than assigning a numerical grade. Color is another major consideration. Lincoln cents are categorized as red, red-brown, or brown. Since your featured coin is described as being in old circulated condition, it would most likely qualify as brown. Natural brown coloration developed over many decades is widely accepted among collectors. Artificial recoloring or chemical cleaning, however, usually lowers desirability because it alters the coin's original surfaces. Authentication becomes increasingly important whenever a coin appears unusual or is believed to possess a valuable variety. Professional certification confirms authenticity while documenting any problems affecting the surfaces. Certified examples generally inspire greater confidence among buyers and often sell more easily at public auctions. Collector demand for Lincoln Wheat cents remains exceptionally strong because the series is affordable, historically significant, and widely collected around the world. Many hobbyists begin their numismatic journey by assembling wheat cent albums, while advanced collectors search for premium certified examples, rare die varieties, and unusual mint errors. This broad collector base helps support stable market prices across nearly every date in the series. Current auction prices vary according to condition and originality. A genuine 1935 Philadelphia Lincoln wheat cent in well-circulated brown condition commonly realizes between $25,000. A nicer, very fine example may bring $30,000 while attractive. Extremely fine or about uncirculated pieces often sell for $75,000. Brilliant uncirculated. Red examples with outstanding eye appeal can command $100,000, and exceptional certified specimens may sell for even more when multiple collectors compete. Although millions were originally produced, each surviving 1935 Lincoln wheat cent has followed its own unique journey through history. From cash registers during the Great Depression to collectors' albums decades later, these coins have witnessed countless everyday transactions. That historical connection is one reason they continue to fascinate collectors. If your coin also displays a verified mint error or an uncommon die variety, its auction value could increase substantially beyond the prices of ordinary circulated examples. Collectors are always searching for unusual pieces that combine historical significance with identifiable, mint-made characteristics. For that reason, no old Lincoln Wheat cent should ever be overlooked simply because it appears worn. Careful examination under good lighting, combined with knowledge of authentic varieties and mint errors, may reveal a collectible coin that is worth far more than 1 cent. A genuine 1935 Lincoln Wheat cent without a mint mark remains an enduring reminder of American history, and even a circulated example continues to attract interest from collectors who appreciate its heritage, classic design, and lasting place in the world of numismatics. First up, the 1905 Indian Head 1 cent without a mint mark. At first glance, it may appear to be just another old copper coin that has spent decades in circulation, but collectors know that every detail matters. The date, the condition, the color, the strike, and even tiny imperfections can make a remarkable difference when this historic cent appears at auction. The Indian Head cent series remains one of the most beloved coin designs in American numismatic history. Produced from 1859 through 1909, these coins represent an important chapter in the development of United States coinage. By 1905, the series had already become familiar to Americans, circulating in businesses, banks, and households across the country. Millions of these cents changed hands every day, witnessing the growth of industry, transportation, and commerce during the early 20th century. The 1905 Indian Head cent, without a mint mark, was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not place mint marks on cents during that era. The official mintage reached approximately 80.7 million pieces, making it a common date compared with several scarcer issues in the series. Even so, more than a century of circulation has dramatically reduced the number of attractive survivors. Most examples were heavily used, leaving only a fraction in collectible condition today. The obverse features the famous portrait created by James Barton Longacre. Although many people casually refer to the design as an American Indian wearing a feathered headdress, the portrait is actually Liberty wearing a Native American-style headdress. Around the edge appears the inscription, United States of America, while the date 1905 sits proudly below the portrait. On the reverse, a simple wreath surrounds the words 1 cent, with a Union shield displayed above, creating a classic design that collectors continue to admire. When evaluating a circulated fine example, collectors first examine how much detail remains in Liberty's portrait. In fine condition, many of the feathers should still be visible, though worn. Portions of the ribbon and the lettering remain readable, while moderate wear is expected across the highest points. A coin with even, natural wear is generally more desirable than one that has been harshly cleaned or damaged. Color also plays an important role. Freshly minted Indian Head cents displayed a rich red appearance, but decades of circulation gradually transformed the surface into shades of brown and chocolate. A naturally aged brown coin is perfectly acceptable and often preferred over one that has been artificially cleaned. Original surfaces usually bring stronger interest from experienced collectors because they reflect honest aging rather than modern alteration. Many beginning collectors assume that any old coin automatically commands thousands of dollars. In reality, condition is everything. A typical circulated 1905 Indian Head cent without unusual characteristics generally sells for a modest premium. Fine examples commonly trade in the range of approximately $376,000 to $389,000, while especially attractive original pieces may realize $400,000 in competitive markets. Certified extremely fine examples often sell for substantially more, and uncirculated coins with original mint red color can bring several $100s or higher depending on grade and eye appeal. Auction excitement increases dramatically when a coin possesses a genuine mint error. Collectors should remember that not every unusual mark qualifies as a mint error. Damage received after leaving the mint is very common and usually adds no premium. Authentic mint errors must have occurred during the manufacturing process. One error that specialists look for is a genuine repunched date or evidence of hub doubling, although confirmed examples are much scarcer than internet rumors suggest. Another collectible variety may involve die cracks that developed after extended use of a working die. Thin raised lines extending across portions of the design can sometimes be traced to these die failures. While minor die cracks often add only modest interest, larger and more dramatic examples can attract enthusiastic bidding from variety collectors. Off-center strikes represent another category of genuine mint errors. If the blank planchet was not properly centered when struck, part of the design could be missing while the date remains visible. Such pieces are considerably scarcer than normal circulation strikes and frequently command much stronger auction prices than standard examples. Collectors also search for broad strikes, clipped planchets, lamination errors, and dramatic die breaks. Each of these manufacturing mistakes occurred inside the mint before the coin entered circulation. Authentication is extremely important because altered coins are common, and reputable grading services carefully examine each specimen before assigning an official designation. Suppose a 1905 Indian head cent in fine condition displays a dramatic authenticated off-center strike while still retaining a fully visible date. In today's collector market, such an example might realize several $100s or substantially more, depending on the severity of the error and overall eye appeal. Exceptional certified errors have occasionally sold for much higher prices when multiple bidders competed for a particularly attractive specimen. One reason collectors continue pursuing this issue is its connection to American history. During 1905, the United States was entering a period of rapid economic growth. Automobiles were becoming increasingly popular, railroads connected distant communities, and everyday purchases were often made using coins exactly like this one. Holding a genuine 1905 Indian head cent offers a tangible connection to that remarkable era. Professional grading has become increasingly important in today's marketplace. Organizations such as the Professional Coin Grading Service and the Numismatic Guarantee Company authenticate coins, assign numerical grades, and encapsulate them in protective holders. Certified coins generally inspire greater confidence among buyers because their authenticity and condition have been independently verified. Eye appeal often determines whether one coin significantly outperforms another at auction. Two examples with the same numerical grade can produce noticeably different prices if one possesses stronger detail, more attractive color, cleaner surfaces, or fewer distracting marks. Experienced bidders carefully inspect these characteristics before placing competitive offers. Counterfeit Indian head cents have appeared in the marketplace over the years, making caution essential. Collectors should compare weight, diameter, lettering, and design details with known genuine examples. Purchasing certified coins from established dealers or reputable auction companies greatly reduces the risk of acquiring altered or counterfeit material. Storage also plays a major role in preserving long-term value. Copper coins react easily to moisture, fingerprints, and improper handling. Collectors should always hold coins by the edges, avoid polishing or cleaning them, and store them in inert holders designed specifically for numismatic preservation. Even a single cleaning can permanently reduce collector value because original surfaces are highly prized. As interest in classic United States coins continues to grow, the 1905 Indian head cent remains an affordable entry point for many collectors while still offering the excitement of discovering premium quality examples or legitimate mint errors. Its historical significance, timeless design, and century-old legacy ensure lasting popularity within the hobby. If you happen to own a 1905 Indian head 1 cent without a mint mark in circulated fine condition, examine every detail carefully before assuming its value. Look closely at the date, lettering, feather details, rim, and surfaces under proper lighting. A seemingly ordinary coin could possess characteristics that distinguish it from millions of others struck during that historic year. While most circulated examples sell for realistic values between about $378,000 and $750,000 depending on condition and originality, authenticated mint error examples or exceptionally preserved coins can achieve much stronger auction results, making careful examination well worth The next coin in today's video is the 1944D Abraham Lincoln Wheat 1 cent, one of the most talked about Lincoln cents among collectors. At first glance, it may look like nothing more than an old copper penny that has spent decades changing hands. You may notice a circulated appearance, scratches across the surface, a damaged-looking date, and the small D mint mark beneath the year. Many people would overlook a coin in this condition, assuming it has no value at all. However, experienced collectors know that every old Lincoln Wheat cent deserves a careful inspection before being dismissed. The difference between an ordinary coin and an exceptional collectible can sometimes come down to tiny details that are easy to miss. The 1944 Lincoln Wheat cent was produced at the Denver Mint during one of the most important periods in American history. The United States was still deeply involved in World War II, and the nation's industries were working around the clock to support the war effort. During 1943, pennies were made from zinc-coated steel because copper was needed for military equipment. By 1944, recycled copper from spent shell casings and other wartime materials became available again, allowing the mint to return to producing bronze Lincoln cents. Because of this unusual transition, the 1944 Lincoln cents remain one of the most fascinating issues in the entire wheat cent series. The familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln appears on the front of the coin. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this portrait has become one of the most recognizable images in American numismatic history. Lincoln faces to the right with the word liberty positioned to his left and the national motto, "In God We Trust," arching above his head. The date appears to the right, while the small D mint mark below the date indicates that this particular example was struck at the Denver Mint. Turning to the reverse, the classic wheat ears frame the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. At the top is the motto, E pluribus unum. This reverse design was used from 1909 through 1958 before being replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design. Today, many collectors appreciate the wheat cent reverse because it represents an earlier era of American coinage and carries tremendous historical significance. The Denver Mint produced approximately 578,000 Lincoln cents dated 1944. While this is a very large mintage, survival in high grades becomes much less common. Most examples entered circulation immediately, where they experienced years of wear. Coins that remained in pristine condition are naturally more desirable than heavily circulated pieces. However, collectors still search circulated examples because they may contain valuable mint errors or rare varieties that were unnoticed for decades. Now, let's discuss the circulated coin with scratches and a damaged-looking date. Surface damage by itself does not create rarity. In fact, heavy scratches, environmental damage, corrosion, or post-mint alterations usually reduce a coin's value. However, collectors never recommend throwing away an old wheat cent simply because it looks worn. Many rare discoveries have been made on coins that initially appeared damaged until closer examination revealed a genuine mint error underneath the wear. One of the first things specialists examine is the mint mark. The D should display its normal shape and position beneath the date. If unusual characteristics are visible, such as repunched mint mark features on authenticated varieties, additional research may be worthwhile. Collectors also inspect every digit of the date using magnification to determine whether the unusual appearance resulted from circulation damage or an authentic striking variety. Another important area is the lettering. Look carefully at Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date. Genuine doubled die characteristics generally show clear, rounded doubling created during die production rather than flat damage caused after the coin entered circulation. Distinguishing between these possibilities requires experience, but it is one of the reasons collectors spend so much time studying old Lincoln cents. The edge of the coin should also be inspected. Damage around the rim may simply result from decades of circulation, but off-center strikes or broad strike errors display characteristics that occurred during the minting process. These genuine errors are collectible because they happened before the coin left the mint. Weight is another useful clue. A normal 1944 bronze Lincoln cent should weigh about 3.11 grams. Collectors often use precise digital scales because an unusual weight may indicate a wrong planchet error or another uncommon minting mistake. The legendary 1944 steel cent is one example that commands extraordinary prices because only a tiny number were accidentally struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943. Although extremely rare, this possibility explains why collectors continue checking every 1944 cent they encounter. Color also influences desirability. Lincoln cents are commonly classified as brown, red-brown, or red. Most circulated coins eventually become brown because of oxidation and years of handling. Bright original red examples are much scarcer and usually sell for significantly higher prices when professionally graded. A circulated brown coin with scratches generally sells for much less than an uncirculated red specimen, but authenticated mint errors can still attract strong collector interest regardless of color. Professional authentication is especially important whenever a collector believes a coin has an unusual error. Companies such as major third-party grading services examine the coin carefully, verify authenticity, identify recognized varieties, and assign a numerical grade. Certified coins generally inspire greater buyer confidence because the characteristics have been evaluated by experienced professionals. Current collector demand for wheat cents remains remarkably strong. Many hobbyists attempt to complete date and mint collections, while others focus exclusively on mint errors and die varieties. This consistent demand helps support the market for better examples, particularly those with verified unusual characteristics. In today's collector market, an ordinary circulated 1944D Lincoln Wheat cent with scratches and no verified mint error may sell for around $400,000 depending on its overall eye appeal and collector demand. If the coin displays an authenticated and desirable mint error, values can increase substantially, ranging from several $100s to thousands of dollars for exceptional and genuinely rare varieties. The extremely rare authenticated 1944D steel cent is in an entirely different category and has realized astonishing auction prices. Before selling any old wheat cent, collectors recommend examining it under proper lighting with magnification, checking its weight, comparing it with known authenticated varieties, and seeking professional authentication if anything appears unusual. A careful inspection can make all the difference between an ordinary collectible and a remarkable discovery that captures the attention of serious numismatists around the world. Next, up the 1945 Lincoln Wheat cent continues to receive attention is the remarkable number of collectors who enjoy searching bankrolls, estate collections, flea markets, antique shops, and inherited coin albums for examples that have escaped notice for decades. While millions were produced, not every surviving coin has been carefully examined. This sense of discovery keeps the hobby exciting, because every old collection has the potential to contain a better-than-average example or an authenticated mint-made variety. When evaluating a circulated coin, experienced collectors often begin by studying the overall strike quality. Some 1945 cents were struck with sharper detail than others because of differences in die condition and striking pressure. A coin with crisp lettering, stronger wheat lines, and a bold portrait is generally more desirable than one displaying a weak strike. Although strike quality alone does not make the coin rare, it can influence eye appeal and ultimately affect collector demand. Lighting also plays an important role during examination. Under bright, indirect light, the natural color of the bronze alloy becomes easier to appreciate. Original brown surfaces often reveal subtle shades ranging from deep chocolate to lighter walnut tones. Some examples even retain traces of their original reddish color around protected areas of the lettering or inside the wheat ears. Collectors appreciate these original surfaces because they show that the coin has not been aggressively cleaned or altered after leaving circulation. Magnification frequently reveals fascinating details that are invisible to the naked eye. Tiny die polish lines, minor die cracks, and other characteristics created during the minting process help specialists understand how the working dies aged over time. As a die struck thousands of coins, it gradually wore and small cracks occasionally developed before the die was replaced. These mint-made features are interesting to variety collectors and add another level of study to an already popular series. The bronze composition of the 1945 Lincoln Wheat cent also contributes to its lasting appeal. Unlike many modern cents that contain mostly zinc, the bronze alloy used during this period gives the coin a distinctive weight and appearance. Over many decades, the metal develops attractive natural toning that many collectors prefer over bright, artificially cleaned surfaces. Proper storage helps preserve this natural appearance and protects the coin from unnecessary environmental damage. Collectors are often advised to avoid cleaning old coins because cleaning usually decreases collector value rather than increasing it. Even when a coin appears dull or dark, experienced buyers generally prefer original surfaces over polished ones. Harsh cleaning can leave fine scratches, remove natural color, and permanently change the appearance of the coin. Because originality is highly respected throughout the hobby, untouched examples frequently sell for stronger prices than cleaned pieces of similar grade. The 1945 Lincoln Wheat cent is also popular because it fits comfortably within many collecting budgets. Beginners can often purchase circulated examples without making a major financial commitment, allowing them to learn grading techniques, study die characteristics, and gain experience before moving on to scarcer dates. As their knowledge grows, many collectors begin searching for higher-grade coins or authenticated mint-made errors to strengthen their collections. Professional grading has become increasingly important in today's coin market. Independent grading companies evaluate authenticity, assign an official grade, and encapsulate the coin in a protective holder. This process gives buyers greater confidence because they know the coin has been examined by experienced professionals. Certified coins often trade more easily at auctions and major coin shows since both buyers and sellers can rely on standardized grading. Auction records consistently demonstrate that quality matters. A typical circulated 1945 Lincoln Wheat cent with attractive original surfaces may sell for around $49,000, while nicer circulated examples with stronger detail and excellent eye appeal often reach $60,000. Certified mint. State coins can bring several $100s, and exceptional examples with outstanding preservation have achieved significantly higher auction results when offered by major numismatic auction houses. If a genuine and dramatic mint-made error accompanies the coin, collector interest can increase substantially. Authentic off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, retained cuds, and other recognized errors are actively sought by specialists because they represent unusual events during the minting process. The rarity and visibility of the error largely determine the premium, making professional authentication especially valuable before assigning a significant market value. History remains one of the greatest reasons people enjoy collecting the 1945 Lincoln Wheat cent. Every example circulated during a remarkable period when the United States was approaching the end of World War II. Families saved pennies, children purchased candy with them, and businesses handled countless transactions using these very coins. More than 80 years later, each surviving cent serves as a small but meaningful reminder of that important chapter in American history. For many collectors, the excitement is not simply about finding a valuable coin, but about preserving history for future generations. A well-cared-for 1945 Lincoln Wheat cent may continue surviving for another 100 years, allowing future collectors to appreciate its design, craftsmanship, and historical significance. That lasting connection between the past and present is one of the reasons the Lincoln Wheat cent series continues attracting new enthusiasts every year. Whether discovered in an old family collection, purchased from a trusted coin dealer, or won through an exciting auction, the 1945 Lincoln Wheat cent continues to hold a respected place within American numismatics. Its classic design, historical importance, affordable entry point, and the possibility of finding an exceptional certified example make it a coin that collectors of every experience level continue to admire. Careful examination, proper storage, and a willingness to learn about grading and authentic mint varieties ensure that this historic wheat cent will remain one of the most collected United States coins for generations to come. The next coin is the 1947 Abraham Lincoln Wheat 1 cent, another classic wheat penny that continues to attract collectors more than 7 decades after it left the San Francisco Mint. Many people discover these coins in old jars, inherited collections, estate sales, or pocket change saved by family members years ago. A coin that appears dirty, heavily circulated, or even damaged might not seem important at first glance, but seasoned collectors know that every wheat cent deserves a closer inspection. While most worn examples are common, certain authenticated varieties and mint errors can make a significant difference in collector demand and auction prices. The year 1947 marked an important period in American history. World War II had ended, the nation was rebuilding, and the United States Mint continued producing Lincoln Wheat cents for everyday commerce. Millions of these bronze cents circulated across the country, passing through the hands of workers, businesses, and families. Today, these coins serve as small pieces of American history, connecting modern collectors with an era of post-war growth and economic recovery. This coin was struck at the San Francisco Mint, identified by the small S mint mark beneath the date on the obverse. Although the San Francisco Mint produced fewer Lincoln cents than the Philadelphia Mint in many years, the 1947 S issue was still struck in substantial numbers. Approximately 99.0 examples were minted, making it a readily collectible date for those assembling complete Lincoln Wheat cent collections. However, high-grade survivors with original surfaces are much scarcer because most entered circulation immediately after leaving the mint. The obverse features the timeless portrait of President Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. Above Lincoln's portrait appears the national motto, "In God We Trust," while Liberty is positioned to the left. The date 1947 is displayed on the right, with the S mint mark directly beneath it. These familiar design elements have made the Lincoln cent one of the longest-running and most recognizable coin designs in United States history. The reverse displays the famous wheat ears design used from 1909 through 1958. Two wheat stalks surround the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America, while the motto E pluribus unum appears above. Collectors often admire this classic reverse because it represents nearly 50 years of American coinage before the Lincoln Memorial design replaced it in 1959. Many collectors become excited when they hear descriptions such as large date damage or rare error. It is important to understand that the 1947 S Lincoln cent does not have an officially recognized large date variety like some other United States coins. In many cases, what appears to be a large date is actually the result of lighting, wear, dye characteristics, or visual perception. Likewise, damage that occurred after the coin left the mint generally reduces value rather than increasing it. The true excitement comes from identifying genuine mint-made errors or recognized dye varieties. Collectors carefully inspect every detail using magnification. They study the date for signs of authentic doubling, examine the mint mark for unusual characteristics, and inspect the lettering for dye chips, dye cracks, or repunched features on recognized varieties. They also check the rims, edge, and reverse for striking abnormalities that occurred during production rather than after circulation. Surface condition remains an important factor in determining collector value. A dirty, dark brown appearance is common on wheat cents that circulated for decades. Dirt, oxidation, and environmental exposure can alter the color significantly. Although these conditions usually reduce value compared with bright original examples, collectors still purchase circulated coins to search for overlooked varieties or to fill spaces in affordable collections. One important feature to inspect is the coin's strike quality. Some 1947 S cents were struck with weaker details than others because of dye wear or lower striking pressure. Collectors compare the sharpness of Lincoln's hair, beard, coat, and the wheat kernels on the reverse to determine whether the strike is above average. Sharply struck examples are generally more desirable, especially if they retain original surfaces. Another area of interest involves dye cracks and retained dye breaks. As dyes aged during production, tiny fractures occasionally developed, leaving raised lines on the finished coins. While many dye cracks are relatively common, larger and more dramatic examples often receive additional collector attention. These mint-made characteristics differ completely from scratches or gouges that occurred after the coin entered circulation. The composition of the 1947 S wheat cent is primarily bronze, consisting of approximately 95% copper with the remainder composed of tin and zinc. The standard weight is about 3.11 grams. Collectors sometimes weigh older Lincoln cents to confirm they match expected specifications, especially when investigating the possibility of an unusual plancher error. Professional grading also plays a major role in determining market value. Independent grading companies evaluate authenticity, preservation, color designation, and any recognized mint errors. Certified coins often command stronger prices because buyers have greater confidence in their authenticity and condition. Even if a circulated coin appears ordinary, authentication may reveal characteristics that are not obvious to the average collector. Demand for Lincoln wheat. Cents continues to remain strong because the series appeals to collectors of every experience level. Beginners appreciate their affordability, while advanced specialists enjoy searching for scarce varieties, repunched mint marks, doubled dyes, and other production anomalies. This broad interest keeps the market active year after year. For a typical 1947 S Lincoln wheat cent in dirty circulated condition with no verified mint error, collector values generally range from about $378,000 depending on overall appearance and market demand. Coins with attractive natural toning or slightly better detail may sell toward the upper end of that range. If a professionally authenticated mint error or significant dye variety is present, values can increase dramatically into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the rarity and demand for the specific variety. Before deciding whether a coin deserves professional evaluation, collectors recommend examining it carefully under good lighting with a magnifying glass, comparing it with photographs of authenticated varieties, and checking its weight. Never clean an old wheat cent, as cleaning often damages the original surfaces and can significantly reduce collector value. Even a coin that appears old, dirty, and heavily worn may still hold interest for collectors if it retains its originality or displays a genuine mint-produced error. Careful examination, patience, and proper authentication remain the keys to discovering whether a 1947 Lincoln Wheat cent is simply an ordinary survivor of history or an exciting collectible worthy of the auction market. The 1918 Abraham Lincoln Wheat 1 cent without a mint mark is one of those fascinating coins that reminds us condition is only one part of the value equation. Even when a coin has a damaged date, heavy dirt, scratches, and significant wear on the reverse, collectors still take a close look because certain characteristics can make it much more desirable than its face value. The 1918 Lincoln Wheat cent was produced during the final year of the First World War, a time when the United States was expanding industrial production to support the war effort. Millions of pennies changed hands in busy factories, railroad stations, grocery stores, and local businesses. Because these coins circulated heavily, many examples survived only after decades of hard use. It is common to find 1,918 cents with faded lettering, flattened wheat ears, dark brown surfaces, corrosion, and damaged rims. These signs of circulation tell the story of a coin that served the American economy for generations. Your featured coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which means it carries no mint mark beneath the date. Many beginning collectors mistakenly believe that a missing mint mark automatically indicates an error. In reality, Philadelphia cents of this era were intentionally produced without a mint mark. The absence of a mint mark is completely normal and identifies the coin as having been struck in Philadelphia. The obverse displays the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. His initials, VDB, appear in small letters near the lower edge of Lincoln's shoulder. Around the portrait are the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1918. On heavily circulated examples, these inscriptions may be weak or partially worn away, making authentication especially important before assigning any premium value. The reverse features 2 wheat ears surrounding the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum along the top. On coins that have spent decades in circulation, the wheat stalks often become smooth, and the fine veins inside the wheat disappear almost entirely. A reverse that has been erased or intentionally cleaned may show unnatural brightness, parallel hairlines, or missing details that reduce collector appeal. One of the first things experienced collectors examine is whether the damaged date can still be read clearly. If all 4 digits remain identifiable despite scratches or wear, the coin is generally more desirable than one with an unreadable date. Authentication services may assign a details grade rather than a numerical grade if the coin has environmental damage, cleaning, or other problems. The Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 288 million Lincoln cents in 1918. That large mintage means ordinary circulated examples are relatively common today. Nevertheless, the overwhelming majority experienced heavy wear during circulation, and many were lost, melted, or damaged over the last century. As a result, attractive original examples with problem-free surfaces are much scarcer than the original production number might suggest. Collectors also pay close attention to the coin's color. Lincoln cents are commonly described as red, red-brown, or brown. A heavily circulated 1918 cent is almost always brown due to decades of oxidation. While natural brown color is perfectly acceptable, collectors generally avoid coins that have been artificially cleaned to imitate their original mint red appearance. Although your featured coin is described as having a damaged date and a badly worn reverse, it may still attract buyers if it remains genuine and the date is visible. Some collectors purchase inexpensive examples simply to complete a Lincoln Wheat cent album, while others enjoy assembling sets showing different stages of circulation and aging. Another interesting factor is die varieties. The 1918 Philadelphia issue includes minor doubled die characteristics and repunched elements that specialists continue to study. These varieties require careful magnification and comparison with published references. Most damaged coins do not display enough remaining detail for attribution, but occasionally a well-worn example still reveals markers that identify a collectible variety. Counterfeiters rarely target ordinary circulated 1918 cents because the potential profit is relatively small. Even so, altered dates occasionally appear in the marketplace. A genuine 19 and 18 should always match the proper style and spacing of the numerals used by the United States Mint during that year. Collectors purchasing higher value examples often prefer certification from a respected grading service for additional confidence. Market demand for Lincoln Wheat cents remains strong because the series has one of the largest collector bases in American numismatics. Thousands of collectors continue building date and mint collections, searching for upgrades and looking for unusual examples with interesting histories. This ongoing demand helps maintain steady prices even for lower-grade coins. In today's auction market, a genuine 1918 Philadelphia Lincoln Wheat cent with a readable damaged date, heavy circulation, dirty brown surfaces, and an erased reverse typically sells for around $18,000 depending on eye appeal and the extent of the damage. A more attractive circulated example with original surfaces may realize $300,000, while exceptional mint state pieces with original red color can sell for several $100s or more. Many collectors are surprised that a coin in such rough condition can still be worth many times its face value. That value comes not from the damage itself, but from the coin's age, historical significance, and enduring popularity within the Lincoln cent series. Even if a worn 1918 cent never reaches the highest auction prices, it remains a remarkable survivor from more than a century ago. Every scratch, worn edge, and faded detail reflects decades of real-world use, making it a tangible connection to American history and a fascinating addition to any coin collection.